What's going on, guys? It's Luke22SV here, and welcome back to the 11th round of the Crew Mode today, here for the German Grand Prix of Season 3, off the back of 2 wins in a row in the last couple of races in Austria and Britain, taking the lead on the last lap of the race, both times taking the lead off our teammate. Got some upgrades here into the German Grand Prix. One of them didn't work, however, but we're very close to McLaren's level, but a long way ahead of everyone else. So it's looking really much a 2-horse race between the Red Bulls and the McLarens, and a 4-horse race for the title between the 2 Red Bulls and 2 McLarens, who are currently lagging a little bit behind in recent races because myself and Verstappen have been on hot form recently, but of course Butler and Norris have both had issues as well, and I'm sure they'll be fighting for those wins in a matter of no time. But coming into Germany, we've just used the wheel on our first, for the first time in Silverstone, and coming in today, we're trying to use the wheel again, but it's not been too successful because in the rain, I haven't really used the wheel too much practicing in the rain, and I was a long way off the pace in the laps that I did do whilst doing wet weather driving, and it was even harder to keep it on the track at times as well, which is something I've still got to work hard on to try and be able to use the wheel, because obviously I need to use it in many conditions. But what happened here though ended up setting us out of qualifying, because we just got a massive tank slapper and ended up in the wall trying to correct the oversteer, and then it just sent us the other way into the wall, and we were out of qualifying, which is a huge disaster for us, especially leading the title with 9 points at the moment. Verstappen and the 2 McLarens surely going to take full advantage of this. As you can see, you just got a bit of oversteer, and once that, we were sitting duck once that happened, so disaster really. We'll be starting from the back of the grid, whilst I don't know where my teammate would be. I'm expecting them to be in the top 3. Maybe Lando Norris might be a little bit further down because he's a bit pants in qualifying at the moment. But here we go. Here's what happened then. Here's going to be the qualifying results for the German Grand Prix. Are we going to see who's got pole position? It's a black screen at the moment, but here we go then. And it's going to be Butler on pole position then from my teammate, and Norris is third. So, of course, they have to take full advantage of everything going wrong for me in qualifying. So we've got a work cut out in the racing. Both the Racing Points having a bad day as well. Down in 17th and 18th. Perez setting no time, and neither did Giovinazzi. I'm not sure why that happened. But anyway, we're going to have to look forward to the race then. But just a little disclaimer, we're back on the controller for the race. I did have a few goes on the wheel in the race, but it just wasn't being successful at all. It was just a load of uncharacteristic mistakes that were going on that you just wouldn't expect to see. So to make it a little bit more realistic, I guess, I'm back on the pad where it should be a bit more consistent. I just haven't got the consistency with all the tracks yet on the wheel. So coming into the qualifying then, let's have a look at the grid order for the race. Of course, Devon Butler did get pole position ahead of my teammate Max Verstappen. Lando Norris lining up third. So my 3 rivals all in the top 3. We're hoping for Hamilton to cause us upset today in the Mercedes, and Vettel as well at his home race, along with Weber, Leclerc, Sainz, and then Albon rounding up the top 10, and then Kvyat, Stroll, and then Hulkenberg, Gasly, Russell, Magnussen, and then Ricciardo having a difficult day ahead of Perez, myself, and Giovinazzi starting from the back, a long way behind his teammate as well. So we don't know what happened there, but we'll have to find out how the race goes then, and hopefully it'll be much better than qualifying. We need damage limitation. We need to try and get at least 4th today. So the lights will go out in just a moment's time, as we're away in Germany for the 11th round of Season 3. And it's a poor start as we end up dropping down to last as we go into turn 1. We fly, and there's a bit of front wing flying off one of these cars here. We go past both the Racing Points to head towards turn 2 as we go dive down the inside of Magnussen and George Russell, and look to take P15 then ahead of these 2 drivers. But Magnussen taps us as we go onto the grass there. Don't know what happened there, but Magnussen has forced us onto the grass. He's retaken that position, and a typical Kevin Magnussen move that was, forcing us off the pitch. Off the circuit. But we dived down the inside of him into the hairpin and forced him back off the circuit, and give him a taste of his own medicine there. As we were less than impressed with what happened with just a few corners to go. But now heading towards Pierre Gasly, the man that replaced me at Toro Rosso, the man I replaced at Red Bull, Japanese Grand Prix of Season 2 last season. As we're looking to get past him immediately, he's had a poor exit out of that corner, so he's going pretty slowly at the moment. As we dive back down the inside of him, up into P14 we go then. So we gained 5 positions off the start then, starting from P19 of course, And now our next target is Nico Hulkenberg. So making steady progress already. This is what we need to do if we want to finish high in this race and lose as little points to the likes of Verstappen and Butler. But Verstappen now takes the lead of this race then. So starting from second, he's now leading the race, which is slightly worried for us actually. We'd almost rather have Butler winning this race than Verstappen at this point, because that would be more points that he's taken away from us as we dive down the inside of Hulkenberg. And hopefully he can be a bit more cleaner than his teammate was, and indeed he is. So up into P13 we go then, and yeah, now our next target is Stroll. But we're going to have a look at the replay then of the first lap. As we can see, we start from P19. We failed to the last place with a poor start, poor getaway. And you can see a bit of front wing flying off there. I don't know whose front wing that looked like. I think it might have actually been Gasly's, but we're flying past Magnussen. Here's what happened with Magnussen. Why did he force us off the track then? As we see him going side by side with Russell. So it's almost a 3-1 there. Russell perhaps was at fault then. So maybe it wasn't Magnussen's fault at all with that, because Russell was just going for a gap that wasn't really there and ended up forcing myself off the track. But as you can see then, up into the hairpin we go. We dive back down the inside of Magnussen, forcing him off the track. And yeah, that forced Russell, allowed Russell to get back past him, which I doubt Magnussen was too pleased with. And the 2 racing points down in 18th and 19th as well. So a poor day for them it looks like it's going to be. But then our next target, Gasly, and it does look like Gasly was the one that got the front wing damage then, which is why he was so slow out of these corners. And yeah, you can see that little bit of front wing damage as we dive down the inside. A bit of a risky move because he could easily have just turned in on us, but you know, we ended up having to give him as little room as possible. And the Williams of Russell almost trying to force his way through on the outside of the Sachs curve as well. But moving on then, we're diving down the inside of Lance Stroll for P13, P12, as we're trying to take a long way back. That was almost a huge dive bomb, but we've almost made it stick. Is he going to be able to keep it on the outside there? He ends up yielding that one, so gives that one to us. Up into P12 we go, and Stroll, who's been well off the pace compared to his teammate. I'll be surprised if he doesn't get dropped after Hungary. I think it is after Hungary where they do have a few driver swaps, potentially, where we moved from Alpha to Toro Rosso last season. So now following Alexander Albon, our former teammate, we've been teammates twice with at Toro Rosso. So we're going to look to get past him immediately and hopefully get into the points in just a moment's time, because we'll have DRS activated this lap, so it should make overtaking easier for us. And now getting a good exit out of turn 1, and almost going onto the grass there again to get past Albon. He's very slowly compared to us. Up into P11 we go then. So now just the next position is the points, and we'll be very happy indeed to get into the points, and hopefully we can get close to the top 4 as quickly as possible, because that's probably the best we can probably do today, because the McLarens and the Red Bulls are just too quick as we dive down the inside of Carlos Sainz from quite a long way back, making it stick as we try and give him as little room as possible to make a counter overtake, and that's allowed Albon to follow through. But now moving on to lap 5, our next target is Charles Leclerc, and you can see just ahead Weber and it looks like Danny Kvyat fighting with each other as we dive a long way back on Leclerc. A little bit of contact as he tries to turn in, but we're not having that. And yeah, you can see Weber is fighting with Danny Kvyat, who's had a good start as well. He was outside the top 10, but now he's trying to get, well, now he's in the top 10, but now you can see Weber going down the inside of Danny Kvyat into the hairpin and retaking P7. So now that's going to give us a perfect opportunity perhaps to get involved on this fight, and Kvyat getting a bit of a poor exit out of that corner. This has allowed us to get close to Danny Kvyat. And can we make a move into this corner? Are we a long way back? Are we too far back? And no is the answer to that. We do go a little bit off the track, but we still keep the position. And now our next target is Lucas Weber and Sebastian Vettel, and we'll be hoping to get past them as quickly as possible. But here we go then. We've got to close up these guys, and it's just the Mercedes that are ahead of them. 2 Mercedes, and then it's the top 3. So these are the last 4 cars we need to get past if we want to get to the top 4. So maybe there is a chance of a podium today. Maybe there's a chance to get even better. Hopefully one of the top 3 has a problem in this race, which is something we'll really hope to have, because then we won't lose points to all of them, rather than we'll just lose points to a couple instead. But now moving into the pits then onto this lap, and you can see Vettel carries on. Weber comes into the pits. One of the Mercedes is in the pits too. So there's a few cars in this lap. Leclerc behind me is in the pits as we follow on, and it's Hamilton that's pitted as well. So into the pits we go for the medium tyres as we come out then. The Renault though, of course, there's a bit of a problem there. and the Mercedes is a little bit close to us actually. I think the Mercedes got bogged down by the Williams as well. Leclerc also got affected by the Williams, so that Mercedes of Hamilton's a little bit closer as well now. So Weber will be looking interested on that Mercedes of Hamilton, and hopefully moving on to the next lap then. Vettel's now coming out of the pits, and you can see he's just ahead of us. But is there a perfect chance to get past him here? We have to go onto the grass. He almost doesn't see us there and closes his door almost. But just about getting past Sebastian Vettel there, who caused us a bit of a problem. As we had to go onto the grass a little bit to overtake him. Maybe he just didn't see us, but now he's trying to fight back past to get past us again, as we set a purple sector 1 on that lap as well. So pace is looking quite good on these mediums, but now we just got to get past Weber and the 2 Mercedes as quickly as possible to be able to try and fight perhaps with looks like Lando Norris, who's just ahead. So you can see on the mini-map is the Butler and Verstappen up front, and there's one McLaren that which probably would be Lando Norris that is a little bit further back. So I hope there's a good chance of a podium here if we can keep a good strong pace up as we follow Lucas Weber through to the stadium section and then towards the Sachs curve as well. So now we're closing in on these guys, and is there a good chance of a podium here? We need to get past these guys very quickly if we want to make that happen. So look at the gap we've closed to Lucas Weber. Are we going to be able to get past him into turn 1 here, which is a very unlikely overtaking spot? But you can see we set the fastest lap of the race then, so that's going to give us a chance of getting an extra point here. Look how close we were to Weber coming out of turn 1 there. We go to the outside now to try and make an overtake on him, and indeed we just about get around the outside of Weber then. A nice little move, and the next 2 targets are the Mercedes. So if once we get past the 2 Mercedes, and the next one in sight will be Lando Norris. So all we have to do now is keep ahead of Weber. Is he going to try and get past us again, going into the hairpin? And Bottas, Hamilton fighting wheel to wheel as we see Weber diving back down the inside. That's not what we wanted. It's going to slow down our progress if he causes us any problems here, and we're trying to defend Weber away from trying to get back past us, because that's just going to slow us down and stop any chance of us getting a podium. We go into the next corner, and now it looks like we can focus on the 2 Mercedes, as we should have the pace to stay ahead of Weber. And now if we can get close enough to these 2 Mercedes, can we get past Bottas or Hamilton? And can we get past them anytime soon is the question, because they're both going to have, well, Bottas is going to have DRS, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to get past Bottas if he's going to have that extra straight line speed, and especially if we make a little mistake like we did on that corner just a minute ago, and now getting DRS. You can see Bottas getting DRS too, so he's closing on Hamilton, so maybe we could get 2 birds with 1 stone here if we're lucky. But look at the exit we get on turn 1 again. See Bottas looking to the inside, Hamilton going defensive, Bottas going defensive. We go round the outside of Bottas, but almost trying to go around the outside of both of them in that corner, but we get past Bottas just about. But now can we get past Hamilton? He looks a little bit too far away perhaps to make an overtake on this lap. So yeah, maybe too far away then. But look at the closing speed as we dive down the inside again, locking up and almost going off, and in fact Hamilton staying ahead of us, so that move didn't work at all. And Weber again trying to cause us problems there, our former teammate, our former rival. But yeah, now heading towards the next corner, we have to settle for P5 for the time being. We wasn't able to get past Hamilton as quickly as possible there, so now we've got to try and get past him again, which is going to slow us down a little bit. And hopefully now we'll probably have to wait for a few corners later, maybe the same DRS straight to get past Hamilton. There's yellow flags behind us. Is that going to bunch us? Hopefully we can get a safety car. That would be ideal. We could perhaps get even closer to a second or a first place in this race. But Lance Stroll is out of the race for in the Alfa Romeo. A difficult season for him, a difficult time at the Alfa Romeo for him, which is upsetting for him. But look at the exit we get out of turn 1 again, and a nice move on the Mercedes, and it's an easy move then. And our next target then is Lando Norris. So finally we get into P4, which is our target in this whole time, was just to get P4 and a purple sector 1. But look at the gap. Are we going to be able to close that gap? And if Hamilton has something to say about that, he's going to try and get past us. But as we went defensive, he tried to he almost ran into the back of us then, but it was almost a bit of a mismatch there of where each driver was going to go. But there we go, up into P4 we go then. So now our main focus then is now trying to get towards Lando Norris. The last 6 laps of this race is going to be a very tough task. You can see that car just ahead of us is an orange and blue Mercedes, McLaren just ahead. So whether we can catch up to those guys is the question. It's a shame there was no safety car. That would have really helped us out, but now that we're ahead of Hamilton as well, but now we have to do it on our own. So no help from the safety car at all, and we're just going to have to try and close in and try and overtake Lando Norris for P3, get a podium. That will stop one of those drivers from gaining points on us. But nonetheless, though, we haven't been able to make any inroads as we move on to lap 16, as we've got a 4-second gap to ourselves and Lando Norris. Weber's in 5th, so it's not looking too promising at the moment, and we've got just 2 laps left to go, and it's going to be, I'm to settle for P4 in this race, as we've got a 2-second gap to Lucas Weber, which is alright. We don't have to worry about him too much, and yeah, just Lando Norris then will be in our next target, and yeah, I mean, it's Verstappen and Butler up front who are fighting for the win still, but maybe I should have just stuck it out and had a go with the controller in qualifying, and maybe would have got a little bit of a better position, but I'm still trying just to use the wheel as much as possible, and hopefully we'll see a return of it in Hungary. But at the moment we're just going to have to settle for this, and probably will lose the lead of the championship as well if Max Verstappen wins. So if Butler wins, I'll put Verstappen a lot closer to us, and we've lost the fastest lap of the race as well, so Verstappen's got that, I think, as well, which is no good for us as well. So it's going to be a really hot, contested fight for the title in the last 10 rounds of this season as we start the last lap of the race, and getting a 3-second penalty there, so that's not helped us out at all either. And now we've got another scenario like we did in France, where we've got to try and beat Weber to the line, and again it's for P4, but there you can see the gap's only 2.4 seconds, so we need to gain 6 tenths in the last 2 sectors of this lap to try and get P4. So we're almost thrown away P4 at this rate, as we're going to have to push very hard as we were trying to go into the last lap to try and set the fast lap of the race, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen now, unless we can just pull something out the hat here. We need to try and have a hell of a last couple of sectors of this lap to try and keep hold of P4, because we just made another mistake. We ran wide, and we've had 2 warnings already, so I guess, yeah, there's nothing we can do. We're actually down in sector 2 on our best lap time, and it's 2.5 seconds, so we need to find half a second in the last sector. We need to pull out a Schumacher kind of lap here around this track, but now how are we going to be able to keep hold of this P4 as we run wide? Devon Butler wins the race though for McLaren to come round the last corner of the lap, and we're going to cross the line. Is it going to be good enough for P4? We set the fastest lap of the race in doing so as well, which is a bit cheap as well, I guess, since we did get a track limits warning on that lap. But yeah, Devon Butler will be happy with that win. That'll put him a lot closer. He was 4th, so he'll be closer to his teammate as well, which has been lagging a bit behind, as Lando Norris. But Butler and I think Verstappen will be the ones we have to worry about the most. I think if one is to drop out, it will be Norris at some point, but unless one of us guys has another mishap as well, which we have had several times so far. But there we go then. Here, did we get P4? Yes, we did. But by how much? We got the 3-second penalty, and it's by 5,000th of a second. I don't think there's been a race that close that I've been, well, not at least wheel to wheel, but a race that's finished that close just by 5,000th from a penalty. And Butler's now at the 3rd in the standings. We're still leading the standings by 4 points. So it's very close between myself and my teammate Max Verstappen. And yeah, that'll be a good result for McLaren's constructors as well. They'll put them a little bit more closer to us. They're 21 points behind us now. So yeah, it's really close between Red Bull and McLaren. Very exciting season. Still hotting up as we head towards Hungary and then Spa and Italy, which are 2 tracks I should be able to do well at. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that one today. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in Hungary next race.